If you water your tomatoes at night, you might be killing them right now and not even know it. I'm not talking about a little damage, I'm talking about black rot creeping across your best fruit, blight climbing your stems, and an entire season of work turning brown in a single week. And the scary part? The exact habit that's doing it feels like the kindest, most responsible thing you could do for your plants. You think you're helping them. You're actually setting a trap. Stick with me for the next 20-some minutes because I'm about to walk you through 6 watering mistakes that quietly wreck more tomato crops than bugs, blight, and bad weather combined. Some of these you're probably doing right now without a clue. One of them is the reason half the tomatoes you've ever grown split open or rotted from the bottom, and you probably blamed a disease that was never even there. By the end of this, you're going to know exactly why that happened and exactly how to fix it without spending a dime on some new gadget or fancy fertilizer. Just a change in how and when you turn that hose on. So if you've ever pulled a tomato off the vine, flipped it over, and found the bottom black and sunk in like it was rotting from the inside, you need this video. If you've ever watched a perfect, ripe tomato just split wide open for no reason at all, you need this video. And if your leaves have ever gone yellow and spotty, and you've spent money on fungicide trying to chase down a disease that wasn't the real problem, you especially need this video because I guarantee you the real culprit was hiding in plain sight the whole time. Before we get into it, if this is helping you out at all, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me what state you're growing in. I read every one of them, and it helps me know what kind of climate problems to cover next. Now let's get into mistake number 1, and I promise you, this one's going to surprise you. Mistake number 1 is watering your tomatoes in the evening. Now think about this for a second. You get home from work, the sun's dropping, the heat's finally breaking, and it just feels right to give your plants a nice cool drink before bed. Feels neighborly, feels responsible. I did it for years myself and never thought twice about it. But here's what's actually happening while you're sleeping that night. Any water that lands on those leaves doesn't dry off. It just sits there. All night long, cool, dark, and wet. And if you know anything about fungus, you know that's exactly the 3 things it needs to throw a party. Cool, wet, dark. Evening watering hands fungus all 3 on a silver platter, and by morning, spores that would have died in an hour of sunlight have had 8 or 9 hours to move in and set up shop. That's how you get early blight. That's how you get leaf spot. That's how those ugly brown and yellow splotches start creeping up your plant 1 leaf at a time until half your foliage looks sick and your fruit production starts dropping off a cliff. Here's the fix, and it costs you nothing. Water in the morning, early, right when you're up with your coffee. Give the plant a full drink, and the second that sun climbs up, it dries any splash on those leaves off fast. Your plant goes into the hot part of the day already hydrated, and it heads into the night bone dry on the leaves, which is exactly where fungus goes to starve. Mornings. Every single time. Write it on your barn wall if you have to. But here's the thing. Even if you fix your timing, there's a second mistake riding right alongside it. And this one's even sneakier, because it's not about when you water, it's about where. Mistake number 2 is watering the plant instead of watering the soil. Picture this. You're out there with the hose or the watering can, and you just give the whole plant a nice shower from up top. Leaves and all. It feels generous, feels like a good soaking rain. Except here's what most folks don't realize. A tomato plant doesn't drink through its leaves. It drinks through its roots, down in the dirt. So every drop that landed on those leaves did absolutely nothing for the plant's health. Nothing. It just sat there, and like we just talked about, invited disease to move in. But it gets worse than that. When water comes down hard and smacks bare dirt, it splashes. And that splash carries soil straight up onto your lowest leaves. And that soil, especially if you've had blight in your garden before, even years back, is loaded with dormant spores just waiting for a ride. That splash up is how a huge percentage of blight outbreaks actually start. Not from the sky, from the ground bouncing upward onto your plant. So here's what you do instead. Water low, right at the base of the plant. straight onto the soil where the roots are living. Keep those leaves as dry as you possibly can. And if you really want to level up, get yourself a soaker hose, one of those ones that weeps water out slow along its whole length, and snake it along the ground around your plants. Set it, forget it, and every drop goes exactly where the roots need it without ever touching a leaf. This one change alone will save you a mountain of heartache down the road. Now, you'd think once you've got the timing right and the placement right, you're in the clear. You are not. Because mistake number 3 is about to undo everything you just fixed, and it's the one almost every well-meaning gardener makes without even realizing it's a mistake at all. Mistake number 3 is watering a little bit every single day. This one's sneaky because it looks like dedication. You're out there every morning giving your tomatoes a quick splash, checking in on them, being a good caretaker. Your heart's in the right place. But here's the hard truth. You're training that plant to be weak. Think about it from the root's point of view. If water's always sitting right there in the top inch or 2 of soil, why would any root bother growing down deep to find it? It wouldn't. Roots are lazy by nature. They'll take the easy path every time. And if the easy path is right at the surface, that's exactly where they'll stay. Shallow, fragile, completely dependent on you showing up every single day without fail. And that's fine, right up until the day you can't show up. First real heat wave that rolls through, first weekend you go visit the grandkids and forget to ask a neighbor to water for you, and that plant collapses, wilts, panics, because it's got nothing down deep to fall back on. You built a plant with no savings account, and the first emergency wiped it out. Here's what you do instead. Water deep and water less often. One real good soak that pushes water down 6 to 8 inches into the soil, not just wetting the surface. And here's how you actually check if you got that deep, because most folks think they did and they didn't. Wait a bit after watering, then push a trowel or a long screwdriver down into the ground. It'll slide easy through wet soil and stop hard the second it hits dry. You'll be shocked. Most people are only getting an inch or 2 down when they need to be going a whole lot deeper than that. Then here's the part that feels wrong but isn't. You leave it alone. Let that top layer dry out for a few days. And because the surface goes dry, those roots have no choice but to go chasing water downward, digging deep into the ground, building themselves into a strong, resilient root system that can shrug off a dry spell that would have killed a shallow-rooted plant. Deep and slow beats quick and often, every single time, no exceptions. Now here's where it gets serious, because mistake number 4 is the one that causes the most heartbreak of this entire list. And if you've ever grown a tomato that split open or rotted black on the bottom, I promise you, what I'm about to tell you is exactly what happened to you. Mistake number 4 is letting your watering swing wildly, bone dry for a week, then a big flood, then bone dry again. This is the mistake that creates 2 problems that absolutely gut a tomato grower, and both of them get blamed on the wrong thing almost every single time. The first one. You've picked a beautiful, heavy, ripe tomato, flipped it over to check it, and the whole bottom end is black, leathery, and sunk in, like it rotted right there on the vine while it was still attached. That's called blossom end rot, and I want you to hear this clearly because it trips up even experienced growers. It is not a disease. 9 times out of 10, that's uneven watering, plain and simple. Here's why. Your tomato plant needs steady, consistent moisture to pull calcium up out of the soil and carry it into that developing fruit. When you let the soil go bone dry and then flood it, dry again, flood again, that calcium transport system gets completely disrupted. The fruit doesn't get what it needs, and you end up with that ugly black bottom that looks exactly like some kind of infection but has nothing to do with germs or fungus at all. I learned this one the hard way, and it stung. I had a whole row of gorgeous beefsteak tomatoes one summer, and nearly every single one of them rotted black on the bottom. I was convinced I had some kind of disease outbreak, sprayed them, fussed over them, tried everything I could think of, and nothing worked because I was chasing the wrong enemy the entire time. Turned out I was watering them heavy on the weekends when I had time, then letting them go bone dry all week while I was busy. The second I evened that rhythm out, the rot stopped completely. Just like that. I wish somebody had sat me down and told me sooner, and that's exactly why I'm telling you now. The second problem from this same mistake is cracking. You've seen it. A tomato splits wide open, big ugly cracks running around the top like it just couldn't hold itself together. Same root cause. The plant goes thirsty for days, then gets hit with a sudden heavy watering, and the fruit swells up so fast the skin physically cannot keep pace. It splits right open, and there goes a perfect tomato, ruined right before harvest. Two brutal problems, one simple fix. Keep your watering steady and consistent. Don't let it swing from desert to swamp and back again. Your tomato wants the same drink, on the same rhythm, every single time. Steady is what wins, and it's not complicated, it's just a habit you have to build. Now, you might be thinking, all right, I've got the timing down, the placement down, the depth down, the consistency down. Surely that's everything. But there's a fifth mistake sitting right underneath all of this, and it's the one single fix that makes every other fix on this list 10 times easier to actually pull off. Mistake number 5 is growing your tomatoes in bare, naked dirt with nothing covering the soil. Here's why this one matters so much. If your soil is sitting out there exposed, baking under direct sun all day long, then every drop of water you just worked so hard to get down deep is going to evaporate right back out, fast. You're fighting a losing battle. Your soil swings from wet to bone dry in almost no time at all, which makes mistake number 4, that dangerous inconsistency, almost impossible to avoid no matter how disciplined you try to be. But lay down a good thick blanket of mulch. 2 or 3 inches of straw, shredded leaves, or dried grass clippings spread right around the base of your plants, and you've completely changed the game. That mulch works like a sponge and a sunshade at the same time. It locks moisture down in the soil so you're not fighting evaporation anymore. It keeps the soil temperature steady and even instead of swinging with the sun. And as a bonus, remember that splash-up problem from mistake number 2, the one that flings disease-carrying soil onto your leaves? A thick layer of mulch stops that cold, because the water simply can't kick dirt up through it. I'm telling you straight, mulch alone fixes about half the problems on this entire list. If you only take one thing away from this video and go do it today, go mulch your tomatoes. It's cheap, it's fast, and it will change how much water and worry you're pouring into that garden for the rest of the season. All right, we've made it to the final mistake, and this one ties every single thing we've talked about together. If you've been nodding along this whole time thinking, okay, I've got my system, I water on a schedule, I do it right every time, I want you to actually listen closely here, because this last one catches disciplined growers just as often as lazy ones. Mistake number 6 is watering on autopilot. This is watering your tomatoes because it's Tuesday, and Tuesday is watering day, rain or shine, hot or cool, doesn't matter. The calendar says water, so you water. And here's what almost nobody talks about. You can drown a tomato plant just as easily as you can starve it of water. Overdoing it is every bit as dangerous as underdoing it. A tomato plant sitting in soggy, waterlogged soil has roots that literally cannot breathe. They start to rot, and the plant dies just as dead as if you never gave it a single drop, except it took longer and it was more painful to watch. And even short of killing it outright, too much water washes the flavor right out of your fruit. You end up with big, watery, bland tomatoes that look great on the vine and taste like almost nothing at all. All that work, and the payoff is a tomato that disappoints you. So before you ever turn that hose on again, do this one simple thing. Stick your finger down into the soil a couple inches deep. If it's still moist down there, leave it alone. It doesn't need a thing, and watering it anyway is only going to hurt it. If it comes out dry, then go ahead and water. Let the actual plant tell you what it needs. Stop letting a calendar make decisions your finger could make better in 5 seconds. Now, quick note, if you're growing in pots or containers instead of straight in the ground, because the rules shift a little. A pot dries out a whole lot faster than a garden bed, especially a dark-colored or clay pot baking in direct sun. Those container tomatoes might need water every single day in the peak of summer, sometimes even twice a day when it's really hot. But the core rule never changes. You don't guess. You check. Finger down in that soil, and when the top inch goes dry, give it a good soak until water runs clear out the bottom holes. Garden bed or container, the finger never lies to you. And here's a little bonus trick. Almost nobody talks about this one. And it's the kind of thing old market growers have used for generations to get that deep, rich, old-fashioned tomato flavor everybody's chasing. In the final couple weeks before your tomatoes ripen, ease off the water just a touch. Let the plant get a little bit thirsty. That mild stress concentrates the sugars inside the fruit, and you end up with a tomato that tastes noticeably sweeter and richer than one that was kept fat and happy on water right up to the finish line. It's a small move, but it's the difference between a good tomato and the best tomato you've ever grown. So let's bring this all the way home, because that's a lot to carry, and I don't want you walking away fuzzy on any of it. Mistake number 1, don't water in the evening. That trapped moisture on your leaves overnight is a green light for fungus and blight to move in while you sleep. Water in the morning instead, every time. Mistake number 2, don't water the plant. Water the soil. Your tomato drinks through its roots, not its leaves, and wetting the foliage does nothing but invite disease and splash contaminated soil up onto your lower leaves. Mistake number 3, stop giving a little sip every single day. That trains shallow, weak roots that collapse the moment life gets busy or the weather turns brutal. Water deep and less often, and force those roots to dig down where it's safe. Mistake number 4, and this is the big one, don't let your watering swing wildly between bone dry and flooded. That inconsistency is the real cause behind blossom, inrot, and cracking, 2 problems that get blamed on disease constantly when the truth was sitting in your watering can the whole time. Mistake number 5, don't leave your soil bare and exposed. Mulch it, and you'll lock in moisture, protect your roots from temperature swings, and block that disease-spreading splash-up before it ever starts. And mistake number 6, don't water on autopilot just because the calendar told you to. Check the soil with your own finger and let the plant's actual condition make the call, not a schedule stuck on your fridge. Every single one of these fixes costs you nothing but a shift in habit. Not one new tool, not one bag of expensive fertilizer, not one trip to the store. Just doing what you're already doing, only smarter, only with a little more attention to what that plant is actually telling you. So here's what I want you to do. Go out there today, right now if you can, and take an honest, hard look at how you've actually been watering, not how you think you've been watering, how you've really been doing it. Pick one mistake off this list, just one, and fix it this week. I promise you, you will see the difference before this season's even over. And once you see it, you'll wonder how you ever grew tomatoes any other way. If this helped you out even a little, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, because I've got a whole lot more of this plain talk, no-nonsense garden help coming every single week, and I don't want you missing it. Drop a comment and tell me which one of these 6 mistakes hit closest to home. I promise you, you are not alone in it. Half the folks watching this are nodding along right with you. And if you know somebody, a neighbor, a family member, anybody who's been fighting their tomato patch and can't figure out why, send this their way. Might just save their whole season. Take care of those plants, take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one.